Hello, everybody. This is Greg Ryder, founder of Inspiration by God, and I am super excited to bring this interview with Lori Harder. So let me tell you what's going on here. So I meet Lori in the hallway of a in Las Vegas at a convention we were at. And I don't even know how it happened, but the next thing you know, I mentioned my daughter and this brand we have called Be Your Own You, and she goes, your daughter needs to come to my event. And she offered a free ticket for my daughter to attend her event. Well, first of all, my daughter's 23 years old. She's been to hundreds of events with me. She's been my little mini me, following me, Candace, some of you know her. And she's never been to an event by herself. So that was very intimidating. Anyway, to make a long story short, I watched a video the other day that my daughter did for Lori, where she's like, my life is forever changed. It was the most amazing event I've been to. I've been to hundreds of events with my dad. I've been to this event, and that event, and this event, and that event. But she goes, nothing was like this event. And she showed some like little clips of women having a blast and dancing around and doing yoga and doing stuff. And I basically was just literally, tears were coming to my eyes of joy, because my daughter has grown so much and so happy. And so I reached out to Lori. I said, thank you so much. You know, amazing. You changed my daughter's life. This is so cool. What can I do to help you? And she shared with me she's got a new book coming out. And I'm like, oh, I want to interview and have you share with my tribe and my, everyone on the news, everyone that subscribes to this newsletter that's, getting this. And so here we are. Lori, thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy day with me to talk about your book and what you do and how you change lives.
I'm so grateful to be here. And when you tell that story, I'm a firm believer that nothing is an accident. So when I randomly had this person that my husband knew, and I did not know him yet, and he had just said, come over here, you have to meet this person. I was like, what is going on? Like, why am I meeting these people? Like literally from like lunch. Like I had just gone from lunch. He grabbed us. I don't know where I'm going. And we walked up to you, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take this as my cue. And I'm always looking, right? Because I think the miracle is always in front of us, but we just miss it. So when you said your daughter in my event I think the event was like the next week or 2 weeks later.
Yeah, no, it was right there. Yeah.
And you had mentioned that your daughter was interested in like self-love and self-development. And I thought, well, this is the world's perfect spot for her. So it was just a cue of like, let's see what happens. I didn't actually think she would come because it was so fast. And I was so excited that she came because, we always say these things like, oh yeah, that'd be great. But then I was like, oh my God, she's here. And I was so excited because she came up, and honestly, she came up in the middle of it. So I was also in the middle of putting on an event, and I had talked to her for maybe only a couple minutes, and it was just like an instant. She was like so happy to be there and making connections. And I'm like, I'm so glad I followed my heart on that one because I feel so good that she's here. So it's just divine. It's divine.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. It was amazing. So let's talk about self-love. Let's talk about your book. Let's talk about the things that you're doing. And first of all, let me ask this question. What drove you to this passion you have to change women's lives? Because the event was all for women, and primarily your audience is women, correct?
Yes. The reason that I'm more geared towards women is just because in my experience, I'm really finding, obviously I am a woman, and I find that there are some really select things that hold us back, and especially in our female relationships. So until we can start really connecting and not being, because I believe that I think that a lot of our power is actually unlocked, and a large part of ourselves are unlocked when we have conversations with other women, because women want to talk about different things than men want to talk about, right? And women solve things in a different way than men solve things. So I wanted to specifically talk to women about how do we remove the blocks and move around the blocks that are blocking us. And not just that, I wanted to bring in the conversation about what if we actually knew how to connect with each other and raise each other up? Like, what if we understood what women supporting women actually means? Because I think it gets thrown around a lot, but we don't know how to actually implement what true support of your group looks like.
That is so cool. And you know what? So, you know, I'm really busy right now. Like, you know, I got a lot of stuff going on, but Candace comes to me and she goes, guess what? She's like, she's got that little California thing going. Like, guess what, Dad? You know, she was, I got my little tribe going to the gym with me and we're doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, you got your little tribe? Like, what? I didn't really know what that meant. And now I know exactly what that is, right?
Yeah.
You inspired her to get her own little tribe and working together to do that with her friends.
Oh, I love hearing that. And the whole reason behind that is because I know that through my entire life, you know, I grew up in just a really restrictive religion where I couldn't associate with anyone outside of it. And then I was homeschooled through high school. And a lot of the things that I was going through because I isolated myself, you know, whether it was because I got bullied in school because of my religion and weight, I really started to tell myself the story that I was better off alone. And, you know, this carried in through my mid-20s into my late 20s. And I was finding that even though I was learning how to accomplish things and move my career forward and move my life forward, and, you know, I had a great husband, but I was still missing such a huge part of what I felt was my soul. Like I was missing connection. I was missing a way to process things with different people. Like something just felt like it was missing. And I didn't realize that it was also, you know, friendship, female connection, and even deeper connection in my life with male and females. And it was really huge for me because I was hitting a glass ceiling, even in my career, emotionally. I was kind of like, I felt like I could only take myself as far as I could go alone. And it really became apparent. I love one of my favorite quotes is, your environment is stronger than your willpower. So I just thought, if I'm going to kind of transcend where I'm at, if I'm going to feel, if I'm going to want a deeper connection, if I want to keep all these things that I'm learning, how do I make sure that my environment is supported? And our environment really isn't necessarily about, you know, yes, it can be your home and what's in your home and the food that's in your home and things like that when you have goals, but it's really about who you're always around. Because we're going to become who we're around. Our life is going to reflect who we're around. And we can only go as far as the limiting beliefs of who we're around. So we can kind of look at, what are the limiting beliefs of our friends right now? It's probably where we're going to stop ourselves as well. So imagine if you got in a group of people whose beliefs are way up here where you want to go, who really think they can do whatever in the world that you want to be doing. What's going to happen if you get in a room and in that environment? You're probably not going to keep stopping yourself, and you're probably going to feel supported, and that belief is going to come into you. You know, it's just like faith. It's like, if you want to feed that faith, you have to feed it daily, right? If you want to keep the faith, you have to feed it daily. If you want to keep growing as a human being, you have to feed it with the people that you're around. You have to feed that belief, that self-love, that self-nurturing. They all have to have those same beliefs as well.
And so this is just so enlightening to me, and a couple of thoughts came to mind. So I'm a father of 5. I met my wife when I was 21. She had 2 daughters. They were 4 and 5. When I got married, I was 23. So I had a 6 and 7-year-old daughter. So I got a 3-pack. My wife told me, you don't want to marry me. I got 2 kids. And I said, well, you know what? You're right. I just want the 2 girls. You come with them. So, but I got a 3-pack when I was, 23 years old. So I took on a big responsibility. Wow. And, but the thought that came to mind as you were talking is when the girls went through that middle school transition to high school, I blew my mind how mean girls could be to other girls, and what happened to their self-esteem, and what happened to them having just how they felt about themselves. And it's just so cool what you're doing. So I personally have a personal commitment, as you know, with our brand Be Your Own You, to the whole self-love and self-empowerment and the loving yourself, and more importantly, young girls and women in general respecting themselves, not letting men, abuse them both verbally or physically or however that would be. So I want to say thank you for that. That's so cool. And my daughter, she's already taken what you did. She's got her little book. She's got her little thing that she got at your event. And I see her coaching people in my office. And I see her going through the stuff with my wife, and she's so into it. She's going to be like your little protege soon.
Love that.
So about real quick, tell me, here's something that I don't even know how you answered this. So what you just said And there are 150,000 people that I'm emailing this to that are going to get this, right? And they're all over the world. And what do you suggest somebody do when they go, I resonate with this message that Lori's saying? And now I'm going to first tell you, you got to go look her up, go to loriharder.com, sign up for a podcast and listen to her. That's the number one thing you can do. But what would you suggest to people? How do they get with people that can lift them up, and how do they get in that environment? Because, obviously I teach the same thing from our all personal development. It's like, hey, we're going to become who you hang out with and the books you read. So what would you tell somebody, like, how do they can they insert themselves into a place where they can be around supportive people?
So there's layers to this. So, and I love this question. It's my favorite question because this was my journey and that's why I wrote about it. So I lived in the Midwest. I'm from Upper Michigan, so I'm like as basically looking for like-minded people in an area where I thought there were no like-minded people, right? Number one, he's starting in fitness, also in self-development, also in mindset. I felt like the lone ranger. Like, I was like, where are all my people who are into self-development and who enjoy fitness, and they were not really around me. But the first thing I want to say is that if we're coming from that perspective of, I don't know where to find my tribe and nobody is like-minded around me, we first have to remove those goggles, or we're never going to be open to finding anyone. So the first thing we have to do is say, okay, maybe there are people around me, but maybe I'm not talking about it yet. Maybe I'm not kind of letting the people know that I'm running into at the gym or at the coffee shop or, out in my day, what I'm really interested in. So the first thing is to start actually declaring what you're looking for, right? Because we're never going to find what we're not talking about or what we're looking for. So there's the first thing. The second thing is, your first tribe might not be person to person. It might be online or in the flesh, right? It might be online. It might be books. It might be podcasts. And what's going to happen is so your tribe can start as the way that you're feeding your faith the most, right? Or the way that you're feeding the place that you want to go the most. So this can be, like I said, podcasts, books, or events. And what happens from this is when you come from the place of seeking, you will always find what you are seeking no matter what. It may not come right away, but if you truly have the intention of seeking, it will always come. So if while you're listening to the podcast, if while you're reading the book, if while you're looking at the magazine, you are in seeking mode of, hey, I'm always looking for my tribe. That's my main intention, right? You're going to end up hearing about an event. You're going to end up meeting someone at the event, or you're going to end up hearing about something that's coming in your community, or you're going to look online and you're going to see someone that you can reach out to. So that was the first step for me, as my first tribe was all in my ears and in books, and they were mentoring me in that way, right? Like I didn't have coaches or anything like that. And then I heard that these people who wrote these books were going to have events. So I went to their events and thought, where else better to meet like-minded people than at these events? But then another switch has to happen when you go to these events. And I'll also teach about outreach. But when you go to these events, you have to have the intention of meeting someone. You have to actually hold that intention, because I've been to plenty of events where I leave and did not meet anyone because I was like, oh, it's a break? Okay, I'll go to the bathroom. Oh, it's a break? Okay, I'll go to my hotel room. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna avoid awkward interaction. Well, relationships are awkward and you have to interact. So it's kind of like really learning how to just go up to someone you're interested in, which I actually teach scripts in the books, because I think that's all that's missing, is learning how to have this conversation of connection, right? So like let's just rewind back to when you're dating or your dating life. It's like you had to kind of learn what worked with getting through the initial weirdness of meeting someone, right? So we have to do that with our friends as well. It's like, hey, how are you? What are you up to? What's most exciting in your life right now? And also to equally proclaim what you're excited about and what you're looking for, so that you can find that connection. Otherwise, if you don't say what you're about and say kind of what you're looking for and be equally as interested, you'll never know if there's an actual connection there. But next, if you're just online like I was, because I didn't, necessarily go to events yet, I had started looking in areas where I thought other like-minded people like myself might be. You first have to find what is interesting to you. So for me, it was fitness, it was mindset, it was meditation, it was reading self-development books. So I started searching if there were different groups. I started searching who was following the different mentors that I liked. And I started meeting people who were either following them, who were hashtagging like, you know, different fitness places. Like I searched hashtags for Soul Cycle. Like I searched hashtags for women's events. I searched all of those different things. It's really amazing what can come up online. And I would just write underneath people's stuff, or I'd message them and be like, hey, you know, I'm looking for other like-minded people who maybe would want to chat every other week or once a month just to see how we could support each other's goals. Is this something that you'd ever be interested in? If not, no worries. I totally get it. Zero expectation. I'm just looking for someone to hold me accountable to having these conversations, you know, once a month, something like that. And I actually give different scripts on how to connect, whether it's people in your community, whether it's like a fitness tribe or whatever that looks like. But we have to ask. And that's what we're not doing. We're so afraid of rejection, and we don't have the normal ways of connecting anymore, right? We're not going to extracurricular activities after school. We're not in college anymore. We're not in our sororities. We're not in all these different things that naturally made us connect. So now you have to go and seek out the connection and think where the people might be. And that's where the disconnect is. It's like, well, I've never had to think about it before. And I've never had to put myself in that awkward situation I haven't had to do that in such a long time. But the thing is that science is even proving that connection is what we're built for, and that to be ultimately healthy and happy, like the happiest, healthiest people, and that are living the longest. I have a study in my book from UCLA. They're saying like the one thing that's linking everybody is that they feel that they are supported and connected deeply in their social circles. And I mean, there's body chemistry that's going on even when women are together. And we released, you know, there's another study also that I have in my book talking about how when things get stressful for women, like that fight or flight response, we naturally gravitate towards wanting to call someone or wanting to reach out, even if we don't. But the reason for that is when we are with women, we release oxytocin in our body, and that lowers the stress. And it also helps protect us from disease and all the things that the stress hormone can cause. So we're finding that women who feel deeply connected in their social circles are happier, and they're living longer, and they actually lower their chance for disease. So it's proving that we're healthier when we have deeply connected relationships.
No, that's awesome. So I have to do, so I can't help but do this. I know where I'm interviewing you, but so for me, a couple things. Like one of my mentors and coaches for a long time, a good friend of mine too, is a guy named Brian Tracy. And Brian says you have to think in writing. And you said you have to identify, describe what you're looking for. So I think here's the takeaway, everyone. The takeaway is action item number 1. Sit down and think in writing. Write down who is the perfect friend, who is the perfect relationship, who is the perfect tribe, what are their values? Start looking about values, because values is really, really key to this, right? They have to share the same values with you probably. But anyways, think in writing and write that down. So it's like setting your goals, but you're writing down about the kind of people you want to associate with, the kind of people you want to be with. So write that down. Now for me, a quick little story about that was, I actually, long story short, but I got addicted to cocaine at one time in my life. It was really, really bad. I got clean in 1987, and I recognized that the people that in my industry, everybody I worked with, they didn't get clean, right? So I literally picked up my family and moved 1,800 miles because I knew I had to save myself, and I could not put myself in that same situation. And I have another memory of that prior to that, where I remember I went to 5 grade schools, 3 junior highs, and 3 high schools. And I got into trouble as a kid. And I remember telling my kids, if you start hanging around the wrong kids at school, we will pack up and move to a different school district. I'm telling you, that's how committed I am to having you hang out with the right people. And if you start hanging out with the wrong people, because I did as a child, I remember, and I don't want you to have that influence in your life, I literally will pick up and we will move, sell the house and move. And my kids knew I was serious about that. And so I think it maybe helped keep them straight. I'm not sure. But so anyway, I wanted to kind of share that personal testimony to me. Think and writing, write that down and what you're doing. And I love what you said about the place of seeking it will come to you. So again, all of us of Christian faith and everyone on my list and that's getting this, we have it says in the word, right? Think on these things, pray on these things, and God's going to answer your prayer. So it's going to come to you. God's going to deliver to you what you want. I believe that. I profess. I could proclaim it right now in Jesus' name that you put this in writing and you think about it, and God gives you what you want in these areas. So and that one last thing to say, and then I got one more question. So here's another favorite thing I like to tell people, and you were talking about it in a different way, is you are the director of your movie. And you're the guy that gets to direct everything in your life. And I think what people, you have to have the strength to know what you want, and then you have to go get it. So keep that in mind. And that's what she's talking about. You can go get what you want if you surround yourself with the right people and get the right support group. That's what I'm hearing anyway. So
yes.
It's awesome.
I love that. I love that so much because I actually use that analogy a lot on stage. Like, where did we stop thinking that we weren't affected by the people that we hang around? Because, parents, my whole life, that's all I heard too, was, if you can't hang around them because you'll be like them or you'll bring those habits home. And I think, okay, so if we have a goal in life or we want to really step into our greatness, and here's the challenging part is I'm not saying leave people behind if they're good people. That's not what I'm saying. If you do have people that are not good for your life, yes, you absolutely do have to remove yourself. I've had to do that many times. But what I am saying is if you know that you have a big calling, and I think majority of us know that, then you need to hang around the other people who believe they have a big calling as well. You also need another tribe, right? Because it's not just about one tribe. I believe it's around many tribes. So it's like spend a lot of time with the people who also believe the same thing and who believe in you and just have such massive belief, because you will become that. You'll become that belief and you'll live into it. So if you're not around it, you won't, you don't see it, and you're going to hit that ceiling and you're going to stop where maybe the tribe that you're around kind of is like, yeah, that's great, but I'm just right here and I'm fine here. But if you're not fine there, that's when you need to go and seek out other people and also spend time with them.
No, I love it. And really it's about that intention. And I'm really praying and believing that you listening to this interview right now, if there's something inside you that says, yes, I'm getting it, I'm resonating with this, then sit down, think in writing, do what Brian Tracy says, and then start putting that stuff into motion, say your prayers, and let God make the movement, and you do your part, he'll do his part. So with that, let's talk about your book. I know we got a few more minutes here. You got a new book coming out. Tell us the title of the book, what's going on with the book, and then we're going to have, there's going to be a link somewhere underneath this video at some point. But how to get the book, right?
I love that. I have it right here.
Sweet. So you have the early copies. Nice.
Yes, I'm so excited, isn't it? It's like so fun because I'm still like, is this my book? I wrote it. It's called A Tribe Called Bliss. And it's all about how to build your tribe, what stops us, how to have the tough conversations, how to create boundaries, releasing expectation, learning about self-forgiveness and forgiveness of other people. And just, I really share a lot about my story and how, I had to remove myself from certain tribes and also build other tribes, and also why it's so important for us to have them, and how anyone who says they're self-made is not self-made. We need each other. And also just how to stop comparison, how to stop the jealousy, and how to move forward. So how to bond over things that aren't drama, how to also bond over the things that are in your soul and they keep you up at night, and bond over, your highest potential and your beliefs and so many other things like that.
It almost sounds like a little bit of a blueprint. Here's what's really cool about you. And again, this is the first time we've talked. I mean, literally we talked in a hotel, for like a minute. It's like you're telling me, like, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing some strategies and I'm hearing some tactics And again, that's kind of like how my mindset speaks,
Yes.
right? So I'm a marketing guy, right?
Yes.
So I'm hearing some strategies, some tactics of things I can do
Yeah.
to get what I want and accomplish. And it sounds like the book is filled with that kind of stuff. Is that right?
It's actually it's very soulful with stories, but every single chapter has an action step and a plan for you. So by the end, actually by chapter 7, you even have emails that you can send out. You can go to my site, you can cut, copy, and paste. Like, this is how to build your tribe from start to finish and how to deeply connect with them.
Nice. Very cool. No, and I just love that. So I wanted to support Lori with the launch of her new book. We're going to try to push as many sales as we can. The book comes out on the 8th, right? Is that the day?
May 8th. And you can go to atribecalledbliss.com to get your copy, to see where the book tour is going, all that good stuff.
atribecalledbliss.com.
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want to do. So I am going to tithe into her book launch. And so if you listen to this and you're here at the end and you're saying, I want that book, you're going to private message me on Facebook or email me through my website. And I'm going to buy the first 10 people who message me. I'm going to buy a book and ship it to you. So that's my tithe into your book launch.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Oh my God.
I'm not sure how it'll help on that bestseller list, but to me, it's a principle that I live my life by, of tithing and giving. And I know if I do that, then it's going to bless somebody's life. And that's fantastic. And that's what life is all about, is about paying it forward, helping people. So I just want to say again, publicly, thank you very much for what you did for my daughter and getting her involved in your event and changing her life. And you're going to have like a little mini me for underneath what you're doing. So
that's the plan. I just want women creating other events. I want women creating other tribes. Like, we need millions of us doing the work.
Very cool. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. I know it's been about 25 minutes. Thank you very much for listening today. We appreciate you. Do what I do. Wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude, and then find somebody and tell them you love them. I promise you'll have a better day. This is Greg Ryder saying, have a fantastic day. And I'm praying and believing that this message, that this will inspire you and help change your life and everyone around you. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.